Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our little corner right here. It's a little messy. We've been working on a few projects here and there. Today, we're going to do a 20-hour service on a Yamaha F150. And so, before we do that, I got a lot of stuff to clean up. And after that, I'm going to show you all the parts for the service and explain what the service entails. And then we're going to go do the service. So, let's start cleaning up. Okay, finally finished cleaning up. That cart's empty. My toolbox top is empty for the most part over here, you'll see. And so now I'll get the parts and show you what we're using. First we have the oil filter right here. Part number right there, and I'll post it up too. Next item, fuel filter right here on the engine. Part number right there. Third item is a fuel water separator. This will go on or in the bilge if you have a fuel water separator set up, and this part number is a 187866. It's for a Sierra. You can use a normal Yamaha one, it's just that that's basically double the price of that one, and it does exactly the same thing. But everything else on the engine, we recommend going OEM Yamaha parts. Next two items are going to be the bracket anode and the trim tab anode right there. Even though our motor has only 20 hours right now, or 20.1 if you want to be exact, it sees a lot of time in the water just due to us being a boat club here. So anytime we get a chance to service the boat, we replace the anodes. If it's privately owned, like a normal person that probably gets like 10 hours on it each year, you probably don't have to replace it. You can probably replace it at the every 300-hour mark. But for us, we just do it just in case to make sure that we're not encountering any bad corrosion on the motors. If you're curious on what I mean by corrosion on the motors, is that when the boat's in the water, the corrosion will target the anodes first before it targets any of the metal of the engine block and the motor itself. That's why anodes are important, and why they're also referred to as sacrificial anodes, because they're meant to be eaten away before it eats away at the actual motor itself. Okay, next item we got is not specifically this, but what's inside of it, which is Yamaha gear oil. It's the HG, which is the heavy duty, high duty, the heavier weight of the two that Yamaha sells, and we run this on all of our 150s, 200s, 250s, 300s, 350s, and so on. And so we buy that in bulk by the 5-gallon buckets, but you only need about a quart per lower unit for like a 150. I recommend buying 2 quarts just so that if you run out of the first bottle, you have at least the second bottle to fill up the last little like tenth of a quart in that lower unit. Better to have more than have less and not have enough. Okay. And our last item right here is the engine oil. We use 10W30 Yamaha brand, and yeah, 5 quarts. The specification for the engine that we're doing is 4.7 quarts, but 5 quarts is like the perfect amount that puts it at the 3/4 mark on the dipstick between the low and the high spots. And so yeah, got 5 quarts here, maybe just like 4.9 even. And then I have this 1 quart jug that I keep with me to top it off to get it closer to the mark where I like it. And so yeah, there's all of our parts right there. Next thing it will be tools. I have my whole toolbox, but I'll show off what tools you'll need for the service on this engine that we're doing. It's a 2025 or 2024 motor. This will apply to pretty much most of the 150s out there, probably 2020 and newer, I'll say. First thing you'll need is a 14mm. This will be for your oil drain plugs. The 14mm is also what they use for the lower unit bolts, but you need a wrench, not a socket. 3/8 ratchet, 1/4 inch ratchet, 10mm, and an extension. You'll need a 5mm Allen. Some of them you don't need them, but on this one that we're doing, it's a 25-inch DEC model. You'll need the 25 Allen to remove the side skirt. Large flathead for the lower unit drain plugs. A Phillips for the side skirt, and this is not a necessary tool, but an adjustable wrench for the oil cap when you're refilling the engine, because sometimes those get stuck, and a nice little adjustable like this is helpful. You'll need a filter wrench for the fuel water separator if you're replacing that. Typically most people actually empty it and then put it back on, though I highly don't recommend that, because just in case any leftover water is stuck inside the filter walls, just replace the filter. Again, That Sierra one is like 10 bucks. Maybe a little bit more. I'll round it up to 15 on the safe side for the estimate. 3-finger wrench for your oil filter right here. This is just so that you don't damage it when taking it off, just in case, worst case scenario is that you can't get your oil filter off, you at least can still use it and it's not like punctured or anything. And you'll need a 27mm socket to remove the prop, or you can use a 1/16" socket to remove the prop nut. Then you'll need a good pair of dikes to remove the cotter pin, and a good wire brush. This one's not exactly good, but I have like 5 of them to choose from in my toolbox. This one's custom, specifically for a sharp angle, and I can't reach it up with this type of motion, and I need to get in with this type of motion. And then I have this one too that's got this top part cut off so that I can clean inside a small cavity. Yes, a good wire brush. And then you'll need a 12mm socket. This is for your trim tab anode. Some of them you'll need a short extension like this, or a long extension like this, or even a short one like this. And then some other items that are not completely necessary but super helpful is a box of shop rags or a roll of shop rags, some salt away or degreaser, and Yamaha shield and marine grease from Yamaha as well. These are probably, for me, in a category of necessity rather than non-necessity, but helpful. So, necessity. You'll need an oil pan to catch your gear oil and leftover engine oil, and an oil pump to pump the oil out of the engine. So, we're gonna pump the oil out of the engine, and then we're gonna drop the rest with this plug, or 14mm right here, out of the drain plug. The reason for pumping it is just so that I have a better container to carry the oil, rather than carrying 5 quarts in a oil pan with another quart of gear oil. For you, you may not have it, and you may not need it or want it, but I recommend it. And some earmuffs, because we're going to warm up the engine before we drop any fluids on her. And so, yeah, let's get started. Alrighty, here we are. Here's the boat we're working on. The name of this boat is Bergamot. Got a nice Yamaha 150 right here. We'll take it off by opening up, or take off this cowling by opening up these latches right here. These newer style cowlings are really heavy. The older ones are a lot easier to get off in my opinion. But here we go. Huzzah! And we'll gently set this down right there. Alrighty, the engine looks nice and clean. We'll check the oil. We're at that full mark, which is fine. Clean it off and dip it 1 or 2 more times before we warm it up. Another one right there. And another one right there. Alrighty, really good. And so let's turn on the battery switch next. Right here. And we'll check the engine hours while we're at it. Alright, as this loads up, we'll turn it off just so that we don't burn out the transducer. Alrighty, to check our hours, we're on the little screen right here. We'll swipe over, go to trip, and there's our total hours right there. Picture of that for our records. And so, yeah. To look at your maintenance, you go to info and maintenance reminder. So the next one that's going to go off is at 150. Since we're doing a 100-hour service, when we're done, we'll reset that one and this 50-hour one. And then it'll go off right when we get to 300 and 400. 300 will be the water pump and thermostats, and spark plugs. Though actually, every 100-hour we've been doing spark plugs as well. And so, let's go take off the low water pickups and get the water hooked up to start it up. And we'll turn off the key right there. Alrighty, so to get off the pickups, we'll start up with this right here. Nice Phillips head. And we'll bring up the engine a little bit to level it out. Right there. And so these little black screens right here is your water pickups. This is where water will enter your engine and then go up to your water pump and then get pumped up to the power head. The reason we remove this when warming up the engine is so that we get proper water flow to the impeller so that it's properly lubricated and not tearing itself to shreds. That's also why you're not supposed to run the engines on these flush ports. These flush ports are specifically for just flushing the engine. You run it on the flush ports, you may run a risk of damaging your impeller, in which that would be no good. A damaged impeller does not cool the engine. And so this style of muffs right here is our favorite style just because it gives it the most direct water flow into the water pickups. The split ones split too much of the water pressure and then it doesn't flow up into the engine correctly. This simple one-sided one is our best option and recommendation for y'all out there. Okay, check that everything's clear, and 1, 2, 3. Ooh, right there, looks like it didn't want to start. We'll try again, and this time we'll hold the key. There she goes. Give her a minute, and she'll start pumping water right there. When you have the water hooked up and you start the engine, you can see the water kind of like suck in right as the engine starts. That's it, taking all the water and pushing it up through the engine block. It's pretty cool. If you can get that on video or have another person start the engine for you while you're down on the ground looking at it, it's pretty cool to just see that the water is actually entering the engine. Right now we'll keep an eye on it. This little symbol right here means that the engine is still warming up. So we'll let this bar at least raise to the second or the third one from the bottom, and then we'll start pumping fluids out of her and start the service. And so right here we have a system scan, consult Yamaha dealer. We are not a Yamaha dealer, though we service and do a lot of repairs on them here. We'll have to take this to a dealer. We have a dealer that we work very closely with to buy our parts from them, and they can probably do the scan there and clear it. Okay, the engine's warmed up, and let's get this service started. Obviously, you know, like take off the water so you don't get yourself all soaking wet. That warm-up symbol indicator on the screen went away, and it reached that third bar from the bottom. So this engine is definitely warm enough to get pumped out, and as fluids drop, I'll let the rest of the water right here drain out of the engine. We'll do that by trimming it down. Look at all that water coming out. And while we're waiting for that, we'll get this set up. The oil pump. Grab a rag. Pull this one out. Clean it up as we're pulling it. Dipstick. Clean. And place to the side. We'll clean it again, obviously, before we put it back in. Grab this oil pump. Put this in right here. Put that in. 1 or 2 pumps. And now you can see all the oil coming in right there. Now we'll trim it up and drop the gear oil while it's pumping, and we'll also take off the prop right here and the anode. We can do a lot all at once while we're waiting for the engine oil to come out. There's our forklift right there. Use our dikes, get this cotter pin off. Make sure you got a good grip and don't slip. You slip and hit your hand on a blade on the prop, but you're gonna cut yourself real good. Right there, tap it once or twice, and to get this through, clamp it with your dikes and use the tip of it and push up, just like this. And it'll force it through the hole and out. And make sure you don't drop it down into the exhaust. So when you get to the little end like that, have a tight grip, and there she is. Into the trash pile, and we'll get a new one to put on. Next we'll use our 27mm to get it off. Either use a 1/2" ratchet or an impact like this. There she goes. And let's see if this thrust washer is stuck. And there she isn't. So make sure you don't lose this washer and your thrust washer right here. And here's another thrust washer right here. And so we'll set this aside right here, and let's drop the gear oil. Pop this down underneath, grab our big flathead. So first you'll want to remove the bottom one right here, and make sure you get the old washer with it. And so you can either use a pick or you can get messy like this. And there's the old one. Don't reuse it. Always use a brand new one. Place this to the side. And looking at the metal, that's normal after break-in. So we'll grab a picture for our records as well. Next thing we'll do is drop the top one right here. And there she goes. Once it's all out, we'll pump new one from the bottom up. Next thing we'll do is take off the anode right here, the trim tab anode. Take this top rubber plug off. 12mm in with the extension. Look for it. And break her loose. Alrighty. And so right now you can't tell, but this is definitely heavier than a new one right here in the box. It's just full of all the minerals and stuff in the salt water. Let's get this new anode on. Typically when you're taking off the lower unit, you won't put the new anode on because there's a drive bolt right there. And so since we're not removing it, we can toss this right back on. Let's grab a little bit of grease right there on the inside. Turn this to on and line it up. Oh, it's gonna be a little hard to get her in right there. There she goes. Alrighty. And so the tip is that whichever notch your trim anode was lined up at, put it back to it. But if not, it's fine to put it straight back in the center like this. The reason for the fin on the anode is that it kind of counteracts your steering if the boat kind of like steers to one side or not. It's meant as like a correction to fix your steering. And so we'll tighten that up real tight. You can tell when it's tight enough. And the best tip is to hold it right here and here. And once it gets tight, just enough like that. I know that's not a proper indication, but if I can find the torque spec for it, I'll put it in the video. Don't forget your rubber cap. Alrighty, and while we're waiting for the rest of the gear oil to come out, we'll move on to taking the side skirt right here. On this one, which is a full 25-inch shaft without the extended section right here between the foot and the midsection, the drain plug will be right behind here. So we'll use a 5mm right here to take out all of these Allens. And now, ooh, you can see all that is salt. I haven't had a chance to remove the side skirt yet because this is its first service. She hasn't had grease inside those holes yet, but she will get some today. We're finishing this up just at the perfect time because look at that, all the gear oil is out, so now we can bring it down and get the last two in here and fill it up with gear oil. Alrighty, we'll go back to our Phillips right here. And we'll take off this little cover right here to make more room. Nicely to the side. And it'll be this Phillips right here. Not this one. If you get this one, you're taking off this plastic right here. This is the Phillips for this side skirt right here. So loosen that, and if all your bolts are out, it should pop right on off, just like this. In which I may be missing a step, but I'm highly doubtful of that. Oh, I did miss one right there. Always one bolt that you're forgetting. And yeah, now she should come out nice and easy. Don't lose this right here. Nicely over to the side, and while we're at it taking off plastic, let's take this top one off too, just so that we have a chance to inspect that flywheel and timing belt. So you have two of them, one right here and one on the exact same corresponding spot right here. Inspecting the inside, not too bad, nothing abnormal. I'll set this to the side as well, and we'll put these bolts back into there so we don't lose it. Be very careful when putting these in, just so you don't drop it anywhere in here and lose it. Alrighty, look at this, still pumping oil. Get a few more pumps. We only got about 2.5 quarts left. We still got 2.5 more. And so let's fill it up with gear oil after we get these drain plugs set up. So after we take them out, we should clean them and then put on the new ones. Just wipe them as much as you can. Get as much as that old metal off. And we'll grab some new plugs or gaskets. Washers, O-rings. These are the two we'll need, and then this is for your oil drain plug. I'll include these as well in the part numbers. I didn't show that off in the beginning, but I'll show it off now. Those are in. Like get this down right here. Plug this in, and then give this a good 20 pumps or so, and we'll turn it on. We'll let that fill up and keep an eye on it so we don't waste too much gear oil, and then put in the new stuff. And there she goes. A little bit more, and there she is. Now putting in the plugs, make sure you put the right one at the top right here. It'll be this one right here without the magnet. The magnet will be the one at the bottom, just because when everything settles, when it's sitting, it should go right there and collect it all. Before you take this one out, again, put in this plug first. It'll hold the suction of all the fluids and it won't come rushing out when you take out that bottom one. Put it in, tighten it, loosen this, and well, we're supposed to get the pan into place, but it's a little stuck right now. And take this off and get ready to put this one on. Right there, start it by hand. Grab a rag and thread her in. Alrighty, there she goes. I'll wipe up all this excess with the rag. Oil's pumped out, and so now we'll move on to the oil filter and draining it. And pop this puppy loose. 1, 2, and 3. And there should be a little stream that comes out. There we go. Catch it right there in the oil pan. And the plug looks really clean right there. We'll wipe it off. And these oil plugs, you can reuse them. Well, incorrect. I've had experiences with reusing them. And they're fine. Heck, I've reused them on engines that have had 1,600 hours on this little plug gasket, and they're fine, and then I replaced it after. Is it recommended? Not really. So, just for the sake of this video, I will put on a new one and get this out right here. This is a Forma gasket, and we'll just put a little bit on the threads right here before we install it, just to confirm that we have no oil leaks. And oh my goodness, I gotta clean that off. I'll put it right here for now. So, oil filter next. Grab our 3-finger right over here. Nice, easy off. Oh my god, I forget this. From the factory, these oil filters come really tight. You can use a cup filter obviously as well, but the 3-finger is pretty universal and works pretty great, or really great. In which I got it off here. And twist and lift. I got the new oil filter ready with the label right here already. We'll wipe it up and suck up any oil and then put on the new one. Wipe this off. Nice clean rag. A little bit of grease. You can use oil, but I prefer a little bit of grease because that's what I've been taught on the threads and on the O-ring. So the tip is not to force it, be gentle until the threads catch itself. And it should spin freely like this. And you can tighten it all the way down. And as we do on cars, go hand tight. There is a torque spec for this, but hand tight is always best. Next we'll get the rest of the oil out. As you turn the engine up and down, it'll get some of the loose oil in the cavities to flow out and out this drain plug. Okay, it's all drained out, and I got the plug right here with the Forma gasket on it, and we'll put it back in. Just simply put it in till it's hand tight. Can't do it anymore. Put a socket on, and you're just going to go until you can't turn anymore, which is not much. Just like that. Not even like a 1/8 of a turn or a 1/16 of a turn. Very simple for that. Next we'll move on to fuel after we got all the oil out, and we have the oil over there. When we hop inside to do the fuel water separator, we'll add the oil to the engine as well. It's nice and simple. That and Yamaha shield. And so it'll be this one right here. Take this blue clip and unclip it. This is your water and fuel sensor right here. Unclip it and disconnect it. Route it over here. You'll have room to maybe stick your hand in it and twist her off. She may be a little tight. They do make a special tool for this, but you get the right hand position on it, you can oomph it off. Oh, there she goes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and there's not much room to grip it, but once you do, twist it, and you can twist this cable off in that corresponding direction so it doesn't get all knotted up. She'll come off right there. And make sure you got this little O-ring with it, because if it's stuck in here and you try and put the filter back, or this canister back in, you can accidentally cut the O-ring and then you'll have a fuel leak in your engine. And remove the old filter, inspect it. No big debris in it. New one, put it in like that. Get a little Yamaha shield. Spray the O-ring in the threads. Push it up until it's completely level with the, like if you put it in, you don't want it cockeyed like that. Try and like push it in and have it level and then twist. You do it that way, you'll easily catch the threads. And so right there wasn't a good example, but right here, right there I got the threads. It won't pull back out. And we'll just twist it on while we twist the cable in that corresponding direction so we don't twist her up. Hand tight. And then we'll loop this around and reconnect it right there. And that's all she needed. Take the dipstick, clean it off, make sure no dirt on it, and we will partially insert it like that so that the air can escape while we add the new oil. Grab our little wrench, remove this little cap. Oh my goodness, I forgot the filter wrench. We will grab that now. Take off this cap and then dump in the oil. right in here. While we're up here, we can inspect the flywheel right here, the tensioner, and our timing belt. This timing belt has about 100 hours or 20 hours on it, and so recommended intervals for changing is 500 and 1,000. Inspect every service, and then for us, we like to replace at 500. But unfortunately, we don't get that luxury just because the boats get used so much that we do them at about 1,000. And again, that's if we have time to get to it, because as long as we carry on with proper service and lubricating these belts and inspecting and making sure it's not getting frayed, they typically are fine up to like 1,000. And put the cap back on before we forget, because after we get all this stuff done, we will be cleaning the engine off, lubricating it with Yamaha Shield, and then starting it up for the first time. Okay, incorrect. Not the first time, but after the service. Next, we'll go to our fuel water separator. It'll be kind of hard to find the fuel water separator on some boats. It'll be hidden in a bad compartment, like inside and up underneath. Luckily for this one, on this boat, it's right here. So we'll put our wrench or strap wrench on it and twist her off. Some people won't replace it until they get to their first service, as in like first 100-hour service or 300-hour service. But we recommend doing it on that break-in service as well, because at the factory they got fiberglass and all this dust flying all over the place, and some of that fiberglass and dust goes inside of the fuel tank. So getting it in this separator is good, or taking off the separator is good, because it'll catch all that debris before it goes into the engine. And you can see I have some fuel leakage right there. What we'll do is we'll take some degreaser and clean it off and leave the compartment open to air out. And so we'll take this cup, flip it over like that, take the new one right here out and slip her in. We'll take this off now, let it fully drain into this cup. Alright, we will inspect it. No rust or corrosion on here, which is good. It's only got about 20 hours again. And look at all that debris in there. All of those black specks and all the floating stuff, that's from inside the fuel tank. And so, yeah, again, it's good that we emptied it. And so I'll grab a bilge pad and some degreaser and clean that up. Here's our degreaser, and here is our bilge pad. First we'll use the bilge pad and wipe up the extra stuff. While we're in here, we'll remove some debris that's from the factory. Spray some degreaser on it. Spray some in the bilge, so we can clean up all the dirty gunk that's been accumulating in here, like back there. I don't know if you can see it. It'll make it easier for when you gotta work on it, or when you hire someone to fix something in here. We'll check the dipstick now. Now that we've given it some time to settle down, the oil, and watch, it's gonna be sitting at that 3/4 mark between the low and high, which is gonna be absolutely perfect. Put it in, pull out, right there. 2 more times. Second dip. Right there. And the last one for good luck. There she is. Alrighty. Well, time to switch, and we're gonna clean up the engine and everything else, so. Alright. We are back with the engine right here. Put all the plastics back on. Did the bracket anode, I forgot to show that. Put the prop back on with the new cotter pin, and coated everything with Yamaha Shield. And so, let's get ready to run her. We'll level her out, do one more dipstick test. We'll go with a nice clean one right here. And so, we are hoping for 3/4 or even a tidge bit more, which is fine. Yep. What'll happen is that it'll get sucked in through the passages and soak into the oil filter, which is perfectly fine, because a properly lubricated engine is better than a non-lubricated engine. And so there we are. Yep. And then the other things that I've done to the engine while in the time lapse is grease up all the grease points. And actually that's not completely true, because I didn't grease up all of them. I greased up the two underneath here and the pivot right here, But if you look, there's one more right there, one behind here, one right there, and one behind here. The only reason I'm not doing it is because I'm working on this same exact engine in about 3-4 weeks. Because this one, it will be going into service tomorrow after and taking place of that boat right there, which is named Beulah. So that one's coming out of service for our boat club, and this one's going in place of that. And actually the funny thing is I took the tracker off of that boat to install into this boat. And so we got fuel filter, fuel water separator, engine oil, oil filter, and gear oil, grease, and propeller. I'm also going to change out this zip tie right here to a large hose clamp just because that's more sturdy than that one. And I have some other miscellaneous stuff to take care of on this boat, like these seats. But we'll come here and reset our maintenance meter. Okay, here it is, it's finally on, so we'll just swipe over, scroll a little down to information, click on that, maintenance reminder. And what we'll do is we'll click this one and reset, yes. This one, reset, yes. And then what I might do is actually set the interval to 100 because we do it every 100, not every 50. So there she is. We didn't do the water pump and we didn't do any of the other items related to the 400-hour one. So we are all set to start the engine and make sure she pumps water and runs good. So I'll double check that the water is properly hooked up. There it is. And when I come back, we'll see that the water's not splashing out as much on the sides. Like I stated before, that's just it sucking in all that water. And 3, 2, 1. There she is, nice and rowdy. And looky there, most of the water got sucked up. And it should start pumping out in about 5 more seconds. There she is, maybe a little longer than 5 seconds. And so we'll just monitor it, watch the oil pressure, make sure she doesn't change too much, sits nice and steady. And once it gets warmed up, we'll shift it, rev it up a little, and then that's it for the service. Don't forget to put in your water pickups right here.